technically 3 days early, but we're going to give this one an early release so we can give it a try. It's fair to say that I have been looking forward to this one, but now I'm actually here, I'm a little nervous. It's been an amazing day today, 41 degrees in places, absolutely sweltering hot, so perfect for a beer this evening to recover. But there's lots that could go wrong with this. It's like, this was a DME ale. It was my own additions for some of the, head retention and the whey that was part of that. I tried maple syrup as part of the carbonation. Hopefully that's all going to work okay. So, phew, how many things could go wrong? Let's hope they all went right. Yeah, was hoping for a bit more head on that. Dark amber, almost brown colour. Malty sweetness, very similar to the session ale. You'd almost think it was the same drink. Okay, that's nice, but missing just a touch of that carbonation. I had hoped my choice of DME would just give it a bit more head and a bit more head retention and a bit more body, neither of which really have come through. It's of quite a light, quite light taste. Yeah, well, so this is a few days early, so I just couldn't wait with this one, and I wonder if the carbonation problem actually is more to do with the fact it's just a smidge early. Bottled on the 6th, so 12 days ago. So I sort of hoped that by now we'd have got that. There is actually, there's a bit of a yeasty taste still to it. And again, I wonder if that's just because it's a bit too soon and I should have waited. Okay, not quite living up to expectations. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 actually at this stage, but with room to improve. Okay, I've either picked the one flat beer or I fear I have undercarbonated. So this seems a bit risky, but I am going to add a bit more carbonation sugar to these bottles. Now this one's a little easier in that it's a pop lid, so I'm going to pop it, put some more carbonation pellets in and scarp it. That seemed a damn sight more carbonated than the last one. Incredibly more carbonated. Did I just pick a bad beer? Unlucky. That's completely different to the last one. Okay, I'm not going to risk 3, I'm just going to risk 2. Oh. Wow, it smells wonderful. Oh gosh. Right, they're my 2 experiments. Bad batch or bad bottle? Which one is it going to be? It sounds like I'm introducing some sort of game show. Please let this one be the winner. That does seem more promising. Hear the fizz. Let's see, shall we? lots from yesterday, still the same aroma, still malty. Yeah, still detect a bit of that yeast. Carbonation does make it better though. It's definitely more carbonate. Oh, excuse me. There's definitely more carbonation in there today, which does just brings the flavour out so much more. Yesterday was drinking flat beer. This is, you know, it's only lightly carbonated. I've got 2 bottles of hypercarbonated, assuming they don't explode, upstairs, which will be interesting to test. But it did seem this is what I was closer to what I was expecting, albeit without the head retention that I was sort of looking for there. Not sure quite what went on there, other than the fact I am going to leave this alone. I've said that before. I am going to leave this alone for a while longer. I think it does need some time to age still. Hopefully that will get rid of the yeasty taste. Not that it's a strong yeasty taste, it's only very mild. Sort of take it from there. But in the meantime, still got hot weather here, you can probably see. This is a very nice drink this evening. My attempt at recarbonation, they at least didn't explode. So far, so good. First time round, it was a bit of a disaster. That's what I was hoping for. I have been very lucky, I think, in so much as it didn't oxidize, because it could have given me some horrible flavors. Yeah, it's quite a little bit more bitter than I perhaps expected. Oh, perhaps a little bit more gassy than I expected, but actually that is nice and cold. Yeah, so my reanimated beer, lucky though I may be, has turned out okay. The question still remains, does using maple syrup for carbonation just take an awful lot longer than the carbonation tablets that I use to reanimate this one? There is a bit of a sort of, yeah, bitter aftertaste, probably normal. I did wonder exactly if I'd over hopped it a little bit, certainly at the beginning, because I think, you know, using almost all fresh, I wonder if sort of it was a bit stronger. But that having been said, you know, not quite an IPA taste, definitely an ale taste, sort of that end of the spectrum, and it is a little darker, but much lighter than the session ale. Oh, well. Reanimation, that's the way forward. It's day 41 for this ale, and 23 days since we used some maple syrup to carbonate it. So we're going to give this one a try. This is a non-reanimated version of the beer, so we're going to see how it's got on with that little bit of extra time. Bit more fizz, bit more head. Not a lot of head retention. This is a slight improvement over the previous one, and it does turn out when using maple syrup for priming, there are a couple of factors. One is that all maple syrups are not made the same, therefore the amount of sugar that was in there can vary quite a lot. So actually doing a specific gravity reading on the maple syrup is one of the recommendations in order to work out the right amount. I didn't do that, I just took the assumed amount, and it did seem that you know, reading around, other people do use quite a lot more than I did in this brew. That would be one explanation. The other, as we actually I think have proven this time with this opening, has been that maple syrup seems to take longer to carbonate. It's a slower fermentation generating that CO2, and that seems to, you know, certainly seems to have helped. I thought adding maple syrup would You know, give it just a small hint of maple perhaps in the taste. The quantity I was using and the quantity that you would use for priming, apparently that would just be too small to really make any noticeable impact on the beer. So all in all, using maple syrup's been a bit of an experiment, but one that if I were to do it again, I would do differently. I would split the batch, in fact, and do some with maple and some without, just not to risk the whole amount. It is quite dark. You know, looking on the EBC sort of rating, somewhere around the 55 mark, estimated. The aroma is, you know, as we tried before, is very malty, sweet, and very promising. A bit more carbonation this time. Hopefully that's a bit more promising. Slightly more enjoyable, sort of quaff a little of that now. Still got that sort of slightly astringent aftertaste, but it goes down quite nice. Yeah, that first mouthful definitely goes down sort of very nicely indeed. So the head retention we failed on, unfortunately, and that was despite, you know, including some wheat extract in the recipe to try and sort of bolster that up a bit. The aroma, you know, definitely sweet, malty, you know, perhaps hints of caramel, toffee, that burnt odour. Definitely not hoppy. Can't really smell the hops at all, or fruity sort of flavours in there. Just perhaps a little spicy, particularly when you drink it. It's got some nice body. That goes down quite well. Has got that bitterness, you know, sort of. It was supposed to come out relatively low bitterness, but definitely sort of picks up sort of a slightly higher than expected bitterness on the aftertaste. And, you know, not sour, you know, though, and not sulphury or sort of or floral really in its taste. So, you know, overall, I think this one actually is improving with age.